Okay, we're ready. So today we're going to take that Carnot cycle and we're going to apply it to the four-stroke gasoline engine or diesel engines that you're familiar with. And then we'll talk about other kinds of engines briefly. So this is all about combustion now, how we get these cycles to run. So this is a rough diagram of what's going on in the pistons of a piston engine. You have that expansion, supposedly isothermal, and then there's adiabatic expansion, and then you have the compression step. But there's some missing pieces to this. And so let's get into real engines and look at the different strokes that they have. So here's a throttle body or carbureted gas engine where we spray the fuel into a fine mist. Because the liquids really don't burn, it's the vapors that burn. Okay, and you can see that too with with a candle even. The wax melts, but the wax doesn't burn because the flame would go out on the wax if it was the wax that's burning. Also, the flame would run across the surface. That's called a flash point or a flash when the vapor is concentrated enough to perform combustion in air. And so there's not enough vapor pressure of the wax to burn. It's getting drawn up the wick because it wets the wick at high temperatures, and then it's decomposing, and it's the decomposition gases that are burning in a candle. So it's the vapors or gases that burn. And so what we have is we have to bring in the air and the fuel, and that's with the intake valve. So you can see that little valve with the yellow arrow up there. That's the intake valve. We open that up, and the crank is turning. If you're starting the engine, the starter's turning the crank at first. And so you've got an electric starter that's turning the crank. It's pulling in air and fuel, and then it compresses them. It closes that intake valve at the bottom, and then does the compression step. So we've already done 2 strokes, and we haven't got any power out of our engine. We did the intake stroke, and then we do the compression stroke. So during the compression stroke, we push all of that gas into a small volume. And then at this point D, we fire the spark plug. So we fire that spark plug, and what happens to the pressure? It goes way high because we've got combustion products and hot gas. So not just the burning, but it also heats up the nitrogen that's in there and any residual oxygen. It produces hot CO2 and water vapor. So when we did the QSPR, that's why we were looking at the lower heating value, because we're not able to capture the condensation heat of water. The water's still a gas when it leaves the engine. So we don't get all of the energy out of that combustion reaction. If we were to take everything in their standard state, water's a liquid at room temperature in 1 atmosphere. So that's the real combustion enthalpy. But the lower heating value keeps that water as a gas because we rarely harvest it inside a motor. So we fire the spark, we get a burst in heat and pressure, and then we have the power stroke. So that power stroke is the expansion of the gas pushing on that piston. And so out of the 4 strokes, only one of them generates torque on that crank. The other time, you have to have enough momentum to compress the next cycle. So then we have this expansion, and then at this point at B, notice the severe drop in pressure. It's straight down. We'd call it an isocore, really, because as soon as that piston's at the bottom, the cam pushes out the exhaust valve, and all that pressure is lost. So it shoots out of the cylinder, all the excess pressure, and then we go ahead and do a cycle where we push that piston up to expel all the gas, and that's the exhaust stroke. And so that's this last thing. And then at the end, we close the exhaust valve and we open the intake valve. So this is the Otto cycle. I think it's funny. It's our automobiles, but it's also the guy's name, OTTO. So when I say the Otto cycle, I'm not saying AUTO. It's OTTO, but it is a homonym. It sounds the same. Okay, so that's really strange. What a coincidence, you know. Okay, so then this is an animation of this whole process. I got to get to the ad. Okay. Since we're recording, I'll do this so that I'll talk us through it. And so these are the parts of an internal combustion engine. This is just would be a single, obviously a single piston engine. The reason that this extra mass is out here is to give it inertia. It's kind of like a flywheel. So it gives it enough inertia to do the exhaust stroke. So you see, it's taking the linear motion and turning it into rotation motion. We have up here this is the throttle body fuel injector. Direct fuel injection would have a injector right here in the cylinder, but this sprays a little bit of fuel into this air mixture. You can see that the fuel delivery system puts the gas in through this intake manifold, and then we have these two valves. The intake valve lets the fuel in, and we have the spark plug, and then we have the exhaust valve. So this intake would be this stroke down here, which lets in the fuel air mixture. So it's spraying in. Notice that the intake valve is open because of this little cam up here. There's a little rotating egg-looking piece of metal that pushes down on that rocker arm and pops the valve open. Then we compress it. So we compress the gas. We're moving all the way up. Uh-oh. It's not letting me do it. Why you gotta be this worked fine in my office, as always. Come on now. Here we go. Yeah, so the intake, then you have the compression stroke. You see this on the diagram? Spark plug. Then you have the expansion, which is the power stroke, or he's calling it the combustion stroke. And then we open that exhaust valve, and we have the exhaust stroke that pushes all of the exhaust out. So the exhaust is coming out at pressure, and we're going to do something with that in a little bit. And you can feel the pressure on the back of your car's exhaust. Don't get too close, it could burn you, but you can feel it. So those are the 4 strokes, and it's crazy how fast these things run. You know, some of these small engines can get up to 5,000 RPMs. That's 83 rotations per second. That's crazy. That's how many rotations the crankshaft is going. And so if you have 8 cylinders, they're all going, 166 strokes a second. And yet it does it for years and years and years. It's amazing. Okay, so the diesel cycle is very similar to that. Same diagram, but I've put the diesel cycle down here in the bottom left. We still have the intake stroke and the compression stroke, but notice up here the diesel engines will have direct fuel injection. So they'll have a fuel injector right inside the head. So you've got the spark plug and the fuel injector, and it's spraying that diesel fuel mixture in there. And then it doesn't have a spark plug, I'm sorry. The diesel engine has enough compression that the gas and diesel fuel will auto ignite. And so once you get a diesel warmed up, then you have some glow plugs that kind of heat things up when it's cold. But a few strokes into it, then the diesel's hot enough for it to do auto ignition when it compresses the fuel air mixture. You can spray in that fuel too and maintain this high pressure. So this is the source of the diesel engine's higher efficiency right here, is that we're spraying in diesel as it's expanding. So we're getting a little bit more pressure, going to a little bit higher temperature, and then it slips off into the adiabat on the power stroke, and then we have the exhaust strokes. So this is the diesel engine. Then we get into doing this thing in a continuous manner. So if you're thinking about this whole piston thing is strange because it's not continuous. I mean, it's a power stroke, and then you have 3 other strokes that you have to get through before you get another power stroke. And so if you want a smooth engine, you add more cylinders. And so, you've got 4-cylinder engines, 3-cylinder engines, you get up to 8-cylinder engines. 6 and 8 are very common. But then you even have some, like the Jaguar for years was really famous because they had a 12-cylinder engine. Super smooth, it seemed more continuous the more cylinders you add. Well, you get into jet engines, and you can take the pressure that comes out of this exhaust, take the pressure, if we take the pressure here, and we spin a fan, okay, this is how we get a turbo. And then we connect that spinning fan to a fan over here, and we stuff that air into this side, this equilibrium is partial pressure of CO2, partial pressure of water, partial pressure of fuel, and partial pressure of O2. Okay? And this is an equilibrium constant. So what do we know about constants? You can play with all the variables, and yet the constant will force the other. So if we stuff in the fuel, okay, we could get more products and more power out of this. But there's a limit, right? Because the partial pressure of oxygen, we're not able to change that very easily just by pushing on the accelerator. But if we were able to control the partial pressure of oxygen, then we could make both of these go up. And if the denominator goes up, because this is a constant, the numerator has to go up. And so we can't just stuff in fuel by itself. We can to a certain extent, but there's a limit. You know, you can flood your engine and it will die. You know? But if we can stuff in more oxygen, then we can get more combustion, more heat, more power out of the system. And so that's what's going on in these gas turbines, is we're taking the exhaust and we're spinning this turbine, and it's connected to this compressor that sucks in fresh air. This is how our jet engines work. But you've got a lot of knuckleheads out there that have decided to try this at home. Okay? And so you've got these turbo burn barrels. They've taken automobile turbos, which they put on diesel engines and so on, and they're mass produced now, and so they're expensive, but not super expensive. And so you got hobbyists that will put them on burn barrels. So what's going on? Well, this is what's going on. This is a burn barrel, what they put wood in. So this is not an advanced fuel. And see this red hot thing? That is the exhaust gas going out through this turbine and coming out this way. And so that's the turbine here. And this cold side here is sucking in air. So they're on the same shaft. So the hotter it gets, the faster it spins the turbine, which spins the compressor faster and sucks in more oxygen, which makes it hotter, which makes it spin faster, which makes it suck in more oxygen. And so this turns into a turbo. It really sounds like a jet engine. It's the same concept. And so you can watch those videos. There's hundreds of them, okay? And they almost always explode because there's no limiter on it. So, yeah. So what could go wrong, right? You know, so they'll put little screens in front of the inputs to kind of limit it and so on, and they're running up there and the guys are scared, and then they blow up, and they don't blow up dramatically, but they'll blow a hole in the side, and it is incredibly dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It just gets going. A lot of times the pressure will just overwhelm some of their tubing or whatever, or they'll bust a weld or something like that, and it'll spin down. But it's pretty fun to watch them panic. Yeah. And so now, if we wanted to do this in a like efficient and normal way, this is our gas turbine engine that we use for our jets. So we have this huge compression chamber. Look how much the air is compressed. You know, you got this much volume now stuffed into this much volume. And then you spray in the fuel, so the fuel comes in here. You get combustion, so the temperature jumps up, and the pressure, and so then it comes out at a high velocity, and then you've got this turbine, the hot section, and so that turbine is connected to the compressor, which makes it spin faster, which makes it compress more oxygen and get it into the system. So this is how a jet engine works. Now, their jet engines are not just for flying aircraft. You could put this thing over here on a generator and generate electricity. And so you could build a power plant with this, and that's what we have out at Roans Prairie. So when you're driving by Roans Prairie, you see this strange building. That's a natural gas turbine electrical plant. So you've got the turbine engine right here in the middle, burning the natural gas, and it's turning this generator. And then I think they do, but I'm not sure. Then if you take the hot exhaust gas, there's still a lot of heat in there, and heat is useful. So if we run water through that heat and flash it to steam, we can use a steam turbine on the hot exhaust and get two chunks of electricity out of the same methane. So these are some of the most efficient power plants that we have today. That they use clean burning natural gas, and it's fantastic. So this is, and also they start up and shut down very quickly. So it's very easy to turn these on when you have the cold front come through and everybody wants to heat their homes. Then you'll see Roan's Prairie kick on, and you'll see steam coming out of their heat exhaust. They run this hot gas through steam, but also through water to just scrub out any kind of impurities. And so you'll see steam coming out of these plants when they're working, and then when it's not needed, they shut it off, and you don't see any steam. So if you're driving by Roan's Prairie and you see a lot of smoke coming out of it, it's not smoke, it's steam. That's just cooling that gas down and scrubbing any kind of impurities that might be in the natural gas. There's some sulfur compounds that might be in the natural gas. And so we don't want the SOXs, SO3s, and SO4s just coming out of the stack. Because what do they do when they hit the clouds? They react with water and make H2SO3 and H2SO4, and that's acid. And then you get acid rain. So they'll spray water into the exhaust gases, and then that'll turn to acid in the water reservoir, and it's diluted with a whole bunch of water, and it's not spread all over Kingdom Come. It's managed there, and they might even spray a little lime in there too to neutralize the acid. So that's what's going on with our natural gas turbines. So a lot of stuff covered today.